How's it going, everybody? It is AHappyIceBear Gaming here. I haven't done a Destiny review in quite some time, not since the Thorn video I did at least a year ago, but I plan on making that change now with some reviews on the channel. If you would like to see a review, please leave it in the comments below on what you would like to see. Without further ado, let's get started. The weapon I will be reviewing today would be the Huckleberry submachine gun, which Xur is currently selling right now in his stockpile, so I would recommend picking it up before the reset ends. The power level on this weapon is at 345, and that's the testing I did with it the entire time. I did not upgrade it whatsoever. I figured to get the best sort of readings out of it, I would do it at 345 the entire way through. I would recommend this weapon for mostly casual gameplay. If you're doing normal Vanguard strikes, or if you're just mucking around in Patrol World, I would recommend it mostly for that, because this weapon would not be best suited for endgame activities such as the heroic strikes, nightfall, or raid. The reason why I say this is because there's going to be a lot of variables. Your weapon damage is scaled back for the nightfall, there's going to be burn modifiers for the heroic strikes, and there would be better options to be using during heroic strikes, and so forth the raid, depending on what you're doing. There would be a lot of other exotic options out there instead of running this. So that's why I'm saying use this for mostly casual gameplay, such as farming patrols or farming for your flashpoints, or if you just want to have a little bit of fun in just normal Vanguard strikes without the stress of the Vanguard heroic strikes. This weapon reminds me a lot of bad JuJu from Destiny 1, mostly because of how the perk layout is kind of set up with this weapon. Now, it is not a pulse rifle, it is an SMG after all, but the way it feels in certain senses, it feels like bad JuJu, mostly because of how the weapon's perks are laid out. You have Riding the Bull, which is whenever you hold down the trigger, it gives you increased fire rate and increased recoil, but kills with this weapon allow you to refund a portion of your magazine from the void or the ether or whatever you want to call it. It does not take from your reserves. Reminds me a lot of bad JuJu there. And the increased damage over time with the Rampage perk allows you to be able to do more damage as you get your kills, and as long as you're getting your kills without having to reload, that allows your super to build up over time as well, a little bit quicker than usual. Now, there is no perk on it to where it allows you to be able to build your super faster, but it feels a lot like bad JuJu in the sense where as long as you're getting kills, your super will regain a little bit quicker than usual. The recommended weapons I would use for this loadout with the Huckleberry would have to be shotguns, sidearms, auto rifles, and rockets. My preferred weapons I would like to use on this weapon particularly would have to be either the Traveler's Judgment, the Null and Calamity auto rifle from the Forge, the shotgun Perfect Paradox, or you can use Hawthorne's Field Scout as well in the same scenario if you do not have the Perfect Paradox. And as far as rockets go, you can use whatever. I haven't tried it with rockets yet, but I know this would probably fit right along with that sort of slot setup, because you can still use that on majors and bosses then whenever you're going around and getting your kills with your Huckleberry. Going back to the perk setup, you have Riding the Bull, which is increasing your rate of fire and recoil when holding down the trigger, and kills with this weapon allows you to regenerate a portion of your magazine. You also have your Fluted Barrel, which increases in handling speed and better stability. You have Ricochet rounds, which increases the range and stability. Ricochet rounds are kind of terrible. They've always been terrible as far as Destiny 1 goes and as Destiny 2 goes. So I would have opted out for something that would increase the stability or maybe a slight increase in range, but I guess you can get what you get out of it. But as far as the Ricochet rounds, they're terrible. I would have gladly seen something better in that slot outside of Ricochet rounds. Now, the intrinsic perk that I would have to say is the Rampage perk, which increases your damage up to 3 times whenever you get kills with this weapon, which also falls back to why it almost lines up with bad JuJu, even though it's an SMG, bad juju with its string of curses. Whenever you got a kill with it, it increased your damage, and it also refunded your ammo from the void. So how did this weapon perform in Crucible? I would recommend staying away from it in Crucible. The only reason why is, 1, there's other better weapons out there, and for 2, whenever I was mucking around with it a little bit in quick play, I was being outgunned by other better weapons such as Vigilance's Wing and so on and so forth. Even Graviton's Lance was outbeating it, and that was with me being all up and close and personal. I was trying to get the benefits out of the weapons, considering it had the Riding the Bull perk with the increased fire rate, and with getting a kill restoring a portion of the magazine back from the ether. I was trying to get the most benefits from using this weapon in Crucible, which required me being up close and personal and trying to do the best with it as I can. If you had to try and use it in Crucible, you can give it a go if you want, but I would recommend sticking with whatever you feel most comfortable with. If you can get it to work, by all means, get it to work. But if not, I would just recommend staying with the normal setup that you would have. Just use this for mostly casual play outside of the Crucible. Now, I did try doing a test with the Recoil in private matches, seeing how it performed without me holding down the joystick, and it kind of curves in a snake-like form. I don't know how else to describe it. It goes up 2 and then goes off to the side, then curves to the left, then curves to the right, and then goes straight up. So it's kind of weird in the recoil pattern, and it just, even with me trying to control it, it's still very, very potent. Now, I did try this with a cloak mod, which reduces the recoil of your kinetic weapon. It did not seem like it even affected it in a visual sense. It still curves somewhat like a snake without me holding down the joystick, and even with me holding down the joystick, it still felt about the same. So don't even try and put on like a kinetic reducer for your mod. Like, if you have one that reduces your recoil for your kinetic weapon, don't even worry about it. You're better off running something that will allow your abilities to come back faster. As far as the ratings go with this weapon, I would give it a low A to high B in just normal gameplay as far as strikes and farming on other planets, such as your flashpoints or patrols, or you just want to casually go around and do your little quest marker things. Whenever you pull up your ghost, you can go and loot the lost sector, that sort of thing. It's mostly, I feel, is really good for casual play, but I would not recommend this weapon for endgame activities such as Nightfall, Heroic Strike, and the Leviathan Raid. As far as the ratings in Crucible go, I would have to give it a low D, unless if they can fix the meta and actually lower the damage on the Guardian's health. Like, I have a theory going on right now. Maybe if they lowered the health on the Guardians to where you can actually have a faster time to kill, maybe it might balance out some of that, or increase the time to kill on weapons. But then again, they would have to do a lot of sandbox changes. I don't know. I don't like the way Crucible is right now. I'll play it from time to time to either get my milestone done, or if Iron Banner's coming back around, and since power level will matter in Iron Banner, maybe I'll give the weapon a try again there whenever that comes around. But I'm going to hold out on using this weapon in Crucible until that time comes. But either way, thank you again for watching. Subscribe to stay up to date with the channel on whatever I be doing. And I hope you enjoyed this review. I'm sorry I haven't done a review in quite some time, but I would like to do more. So if you would love to see more, please leave a name of the weapon or armor pieces you would like to see me run in the future, and I will give you my humble recommendations on what to use and how to use it. Either way, thank you again, and I will see you all in the next one.